Once upon a time, there was a magical frog named Ferdinand. He lived in a magical world, in his magical house, among his magical plants. Unfortunately, this magical world lacked the one thing he loved most. His entire world consisted of only grays. Ferdinand dreamed of color. His main wish was to see the brilliant greens of his plant collection that surrounded him. Ferdinand's love of color inspired him to practice his magic night and day, day and night. He would stay up for hours, focusing on his spells and concentrating on nothing else. He would even skip meals at times to make sure no time was wasted perfecting his magic. There was nothing Ferdinand wanted more. One late night, while strongly focusing on his book of spells, Ferdinand felt a little sparkle of color appear. First, his hat began to show a pastel purple. With every second, this grew stronger. The hat brightened, and it was the most beautiful shade of purple he could have ever imagined. Ferdinand's back began to tingle, and he noticed himself slowly showing a vibrant green color. This color appeared to spread a bit quicker than the purple. These colors almost overwhelmed him. And surprisingly, Ferdinand's spellbook began to show some color too. The bright red ribbon marking his spot contrasted his own color nicely. The pages, while less vibrant, even revealed a tint of pale brown, highlighting their age. His wand even matched this mystical book and began to vibrate with color and a bright glow of magic at the tip. Ferdinand thought he would begin to cry with joy for all he had accomplished so far, but remained focused to ensure this color would stay as long as possible. This is when his wildest dream began to come alive. Out of the corner of his eye, Ferdinand saw the plants to his left begin to show a bright green. He delighted in how well these plants matched his very own color. This green wave took on speed, and his plants and pots throughout his home all began to show pastel greens, yellows, and even more purples. Ferdinand pondered what he would name these colors once he could figure out how to make this spell permanent. The succulents before his eyes even had tints of blue. Still focusing, not wanting this to end, Ferdinand marveled at his decoration skills, now that he could see everything with fresh eyes. The floor, even the floor had a tint of blue to it. Who knew? This color whooshed beneath him. Ferdinand could never let this spell end. It was even better than he could have imagined. All the colors moved quicker and quicker through the room. Ferdinand began to feel even more confident in his abilities. His concentration focused even more. All the colors began to brighten and become even more saturated. How was this even possible, he thought. Ferdinand's eyes began to glow a passionate red as he took in even more of the scene. The plants before his eyes shone brighter and healthier than ever before, showing a complexity of hues Ferdinand hadn't realized could even exist. Lastly, Ferdinand's attention was brought out through his little window. The blackest sky surely wouldn't have any color to it, and yet he was amazed by the hint of blues that began to appear around the dots of white stars and the crescent moon. These colors began to overwhelm Ferdinand. Just a little, but he remained focused on his magic and began to ponder how he could hold on to this beautiful filter he had brought onto his world. Could others see this? He questioned to himself. Would anyone believe him if this all faded away? And at that thought, he felt something new and heard a curious sound. The first was a grumble in his stomach, and the latter was a buzzing from something colorless, a buzzing from something in the air, flying in an erratic pattern, a buzzing of something delicious, very delicious. This fly hovered over Ferdinand's head, seemingly confused by his new colorful surroundings, and Ferdinand couldn't quite hold his concentration any longer. As quickly as it came, the color began to fade from his world. The fly had disappeared into Ferdinand's stomach, and while the grumbling stopped, his heart also sank as everything reverted back to the gray tones from which they started. While this deeply saddened Ferdinand, he now knew that it was possible and would begin practicing once again, right after a nap and maybe another meal.